What has been some of your favorite marathon workouts and experiences thus far? Because we've done a lot over the two builds, and we're getting ready to, go into another one here for the marathon project. I think we can say you're doing the marathon project this year. That's
Yeah.
been finalized, right? But what have been some of your favorite experiences, workouts, moments in the marathon that, like, if it all ended today, and knock on wood, it doesn't, but if it all ended today, you would love to look back on?
I think there's some of those like long grinding sessions, and sometimes I think after trying double threshold, it kind of like I'm not, I used to like crave those longer like 70 minutes at marathon or 60 minutes at marathon or something like that. But those sessions just they always you always get a lot from them if you execute them right, and you learn so much about yourself through those sessions. So I gotta love some of that stuff. Some of the classic like tempo work, like just when you can see a glimpse of where you're at from comparison year to year, like this time last year, or like last week Tuesday, I think we did like 40 or 50 minutes of tempo work. This time last year, or 2 weeks ago, or last week Tuesday, we did like 5 by 10 minutes of tempo. So you kind of see different elements of like that, and I think that's pretty cool. Like whenever you can build on these workouts and you're like, wow, I all this mileage is like making me so much stronger. I can put together workouts that I never could have dreamed of in college. So that's pretty cool. And then some of those we did one session. We've done this session a couple times. It's like the tempo alternating with steady state, 1K on, 1K steady state float.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like you're like Superman after something like that. So yeah, a few different sessions combined together, but all placed at like the right times. You're just like, yeah, I don't know. It just keeps it fun, keeps it interesting, but it's all the right sort of building blocks you need to. So looking forward to more of those for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, like, we have experimented a little bit, but I think everything I try to do holds true to, what I kind of call the hierarchy of marathon success, right? So it's like total aerobic volume. That's just a non-negotiable. Anything that takes away from that, we have to kind of omit, right? And then it's like, okay, your marathon or peri-marathon pace, right? Because we do some of that in and out stuff, right? But like that's the next block, right? And then it's like tempo running, and then it's like speed stuff, right? Because the marathon's a long distance race. We have to have that aerobic ability, and probably get skewered here. It's like, yes, we do some speed work in the marathon. Tom is still doing 3K 5K pace stuff. He's still doing strides and stuff, but as a proportion of importance, we rate the total volume and the marathon pace and the tempo stuff ahead of that. And so I think for anybody listening who's trying to navigate, okay, maybe you have a coach, maybe you don't, how do I put together training for a marathon? I think that hierarchy is really helpful, because for most people, you'll get a lot out of doing that, right? Doing it in the right order, the right proportions, controlled with like, intensity, discipline. And so that's really what we've been trying to do. Now, are we pushing the envelopes? I think as you get closer to 210, 212, maybe there needs to be a little bit more intensity built in, depending on the year and the build and kind of where your gaps are. But what do you think of that? Do you see it the same way? Because I know you're coaching now, obviously.
Yeah, I've never seen an athlete not respond well to a bump in mileage, and either keeping some amount of the same intensity or even minimizing intensity. Because I think we switched to that like Wednesday, Sunday format. I honestly think mentally it's a lot easier too. Like mentally, you don't have to psych yourself up for like 2 workouts a week and a long run, something like that. So yeah, I think that's one key thing. But the volume definitely excites me. Yeah, I think for a lot of athletes, they try templated workouts and they see templated workouts online, and then they do too much intensity, and they don't really understand the importance of easy volume. And then they switch to working with a coach, and then they're like, oh wow, this works so much better, and I'm actually not injured. So there's a few things that you have to restructure in terms of how a person sees it. But you should see the gains like pretty soon. Like I think, even this last 8-week block, I've already seen like the benefits of it as a whole. So yeah, I think I'm craving a little bit of intensity. So we did a bit of that last week, 2 workouts in the week and a long run.
Yep.
But yeah, like it's always the bread and butter to come back to.